Apple Zapple. Located in Candy Apple Grove, this coaster has simple theming, but looks so inviting to families. And even looks inviting to me if I need a break from riding Twisted Timbers. But how good do I find this coaster? Find out in this review. Wild Mouse coasters, like the now defunct Sand Serpent at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay, are known for their sharp turns that offer strong laterals. Some are braked more than others, which does kill some of these laterals. Other versions even have spinning cars, which add a bit more to the overall experience, though normally the laterals are not as strong. Apple Zapple is a Mack Wild Mouse, which is the same type that Sand Serpent was at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay, but this is a large park model from Mack that can be found at other Cedar Fair parks as well as some of the Legolands. Although it has a 44-inch ride-along height requirement, it has a really high 54-inch ride-alone height. So I did end up pairing up with a family of 3 so that both kids could ride during my visit, as I was a single rider. This just seems unnecessarily high given that it's not that big of a coaster, but it is something to be aware of for families that want to try to ride this attraction. They do load 2 trains at a time in the station, so that helps a little bit with capacity, but at 8 guests max per dispatch, this line can move really slowly. On the slower days that I visited King's Dominion, lines really weren't an issue, and this is tucked off in a random corner of the park, so its line's going to stay pretty short, though it still hovered around a 5 to 10 minute wait for most of the time whenever I went over to ride it. If you're marathoning Twisted Timbers, which is my current favorite coaster, and I gladly did on my 2 days at King's Dominion, you can hear the dispatches from this ride, along with Racer 75 in the distance. And the 2 operators seem to go back and forth with each other, even calling the rides different names, like Racer 74 for Apple Zapple. This added a bit of character to this ride and area as a whole, but some more serious guests might have been a bit confused. Though since this ride's name was changed from Ricochet to fit in with the Candy Apple Grove theming for Twisted Timbers, it does kinda work. This coaster also offered an easy rest for whenever my thighs were literally too sore to keep marathoning Twisted Timbers. I ended up having bruises on my thighs for about a week after my visit. Since Apple Zapple is right across the way and is fun but mild enough to leave me recharged, I did ride it a couple of extra times when I just needed a small break from Twisted Timbers. After leaving the station, you round a sharp turn. Your speed here isn't too much, so you won't get a lot of laterals. After the lift hill, you have a first sharp turn. Some small laterals here, but you're not going too fast, and it'll brake slightly before the drop anyways. But this drop does have a decent punch despite that brake, especially for a family coaster. Some Wild Mouse coasters can have really strong drops, and despite their size, this is rather shallow, so it's not like as strong as it could be, but it's a nice little pop. Then you pop up, getting faint airtime on the leveling off before a series of turns. And the first is a bit weird as you just turn around and then to the left to join like the normal Wild Mouse hairpin turn section. But these turns are good, offering fun, not like excellent laterals, as there are some breaks along the course, but you do seem to maintain your speed fairly well until that final mid-course where you're braked harshly to slow down for the second half. A sharp turn later, and you have small turning drops that blends laterals in minor drop feelings before cresting a hill and having another drop. This offers decent forces and really is a nice change of pace from the laterals in the previous section. You pop up into a turn, are braked, and then turn with minor laterals before another decent drop. This leads into 2 final turns that you take with enough speed to offer decent laterals. And having this switch back to laterals at the end really helps make the coaster as a whole feel complete. Do be careful on the brake run though, as you will be slammed into your restraint with how quickly you stop here, before returning to the station and ending your ride on Zapple. Overall, how good is Zapple? This is a cute and quirky Wild Mouse coaster that fits in beautifully with the park as a whole. Its low capacity could be a problem at times, but proved manageable on my 2 days at the park. The first drop and turns are decent, not fantastic, though the layout isn't braked too heavily and has a lot to it with a few good turns and drops towards the end. I rank Zapple right above the Big Bad Wolf, The Wolf's Revenge at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This new for 2025 B&M Family Invert has some theming, but just didn't have the same level of charm that Zapple has. And its layout is a mix of quasi-airtime hills that are toned down, so it feels like a mix between a family and a thrill coaster that does neither particularly well. But it still is an enjoyable ride for what it is. I rank Zapple right below Penguin Trek at SeaWorld Orlando. The theming on that coaster is nice, at least to start, and the layout is on a smaller family scale, but you can still enjoy the power of the various elements. It just feels a little toned back as none of the elements hit too hard, and it's not meant to have any special or fun elements. How much do you love Apple 75? Is this a good compliment to the coasters at King's Dominion? Let me know, and as always, Kapkun Krab.